Since driving the Chevrolet Colorado Z71, I have been patiently waiting to get my hands on this Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Desert Boss. Now, we should mention that this is in fact a 2023 model because they renamed it to the Bison in 2024. But the good news is you can get a lot of the same configurations as this Desert Boss. You can put it on the Bison and they look sort of similar, so that's fantastic. So let's take a look at what is powering this ZR2 Desert Boss. We have a 2.7 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder high output engine. Now, this high output engine produces 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. We're also paired with an 8-speed automatic. The max towing capacity for the ZR2 is 6,000 pounds, and we get a ground clearance of 10.7 inches. As you can see me just standing here, it's pretty lifted. Now, another addition to the Desert Boss is bead lock wheels. You'll see that my wheels don't look the same as your normal everyday pickup truck, and I think they look awesome. I've got perforated leather front seats, and I also have ventilated front seatings with this package. Other highlights include memory driver seats and heated steering. I also have the tech package, which includes the HD surround vision cameras. That is basically fancy words for 360-degree cameras. I've got adaptive cruise control, no super cruise on this one, and I also have rear pedestrian alert. All the cross traffic stuff is all included, which is fantastic. Now let's talk about the as tested price. I hope you're sitting down and your socks are on because I'm about to blow them off. This as tested price is $76,648 Canadian. Now that doesn't include tax or anything else. So I already know what you're gonna say. It's extremely expensive, but that is kind of the truck market. And if people can make this thing work financially, they will walk into the dealership and do so. Nowadays, you can't even look at a truck without it costing you $250. So now that I've told you everything there is to know numbers-wise and specs-wise about the Colorado ZR2, let's take a look around the rest of the vehicle, and then we're gonna take it on the interior and then a test drive. So next up, as usual, is the front end for the Chevy Colorado ZR2. You can see that I have the ZR2 badge right there. Z or Z, the Americans versus the Canadians, age-old debate. I'm gonna try to say both. So when we're looking at the hood, this part right here looks like a decal, but this black part is actually a little bit raised on the hood. It looks really good. The body lines of the hood in general look absolutely fantastic here. We also get daytime running LEDs that are really, really good looking. And I don't know if this shot shows it, but I also do have a light bar. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the back. Next up, I want to touch on this piano black kind of grille because it is a bit of a bug collector. You do really see all the animals that you've killed in the wilderness with your safari bar. Right next to this piano black grille, we have what Chevrolet is calling the flow tie. Genius name. I absolutely love it. And I guess the reason is for that is because they figure their high output engine needs a little bit more airflow. So this Chevrolet bow tie is see-through. I can stuck my hand right through it, but we have this nice red accent around it so you can really see the outline of the wonderful bow tie that is Chevrolet. I really like that. Next up, we have this guy right here called the Safari Bar. Now, if you hit anybody with this thing, they're gonna get damaged before you even touch the paint on your Chevrolet ZR2. So that's fantastic, and it looks absolutely wonderful. I think that this is the best looking Chevrolet truck that money buys right now. I don't think something like the Goliath that is the Silverado beats this look at the moment. Now, just underneath the Safari Bar, I have two fog lights as well as a skid plate if we want to go even lower with my tow hooks. The skid plate is going to protect things like the transfer case and also the transmission, different things up front and the underneath of the engine. So that's fantastic to have when you're off-roading. So now we're on to the side profile for the ZR2, and I'm standing on the tire just to give you an idea of how absolutely massive these things. I am also 5'11", so I'm a little bit more lifted than the average human. Still, this is absolutely massive. I have 10.7 inches of ground clearance, so I'm really big up here. So I'm gonna come down and we're gonna talk about the rest. Back on planet Earth where it's safe and not standing on these absolutely massive beadlock tires, but they look absolutely fantastic. When you look at this from the side or the 3/4 angle, whichever angle you look at it, it really does look like it comes straight out of a Hot Wheels box. And I love that. What kid doesn't want to drive one of these? Now, if we look a little bit lower, you can see that we also have some rock rails or rock guards so that you can kind of, put yourself on a rock if you need to and not damage the underneath of the car. So that's fantastic for off-roading as well. We do have these really nice decals on the side here too, that if you get really close, and I try to get as close as I could with my camera, you can see that they're actually little Chevrolet logos. That's a really cool touch. Now, we do have a nice camera underneath the mirror here, so that's fantastic. for the 360-degree cameras. And then I have the Colorado badge, very nice too. One-touch lock and unlock doors. It's a physical button, so that's not gonna get ruined in the winter, so we like this as well. Then I move on to the bed, and you can also see how mid-size this truck really is, which is nice too. So as you can see here, we have what's called the sports bar, and it's the ZR2 labeled again, and you can see that we could have the LED full light bar up there, which at nighttime looks absolutely fantastic. This vehicle looks like an absolute unit at all times. Now, as well, back here, you get a good shot of our Multimatic DSSV dampers, which are fantastic. I'm just, look at this thing. I mean, like, I'm in the way, and I don't know how to show you this. I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. So last but not least, of course, we have the back of the Colorado ZR2. You can see we have a massive Chevrolet badge right here, ZR2 badging, and the normal Colorado stuff. You do have kind of like a step here and stuff like that. You have your controls for your trailer right here that you're gonna plug in. You have the back hitch as well, which is fantastic. You get a good view, again, of the back of the light bar. That is also an option, as well as the sports bar. That looks fantastic. Now, we do also have these iconic looking Chevrolet taillights. They look fantastic. Let's take down the tailgate, as well as we have a backup camera right there next to the handle. It's very light, very easy to take down and put back up. We have a nice ruler here if you are using your Desert Boss for some work. We do have a weatherproof little storage compartment right underneath this bed, this tailgate lift right here actually. Then if you look deep into the bed, you can see we have the ZR2 badging. Fantastic, you know I love good badges. We also have a bunch of tie down points, as well as one normal wall outlet right here on the side. The bed is plenty big enough for what I would need it for. I would have benefited this week from a cover, because I have a baby now, so I put the baby in there. I don't necessarily want to put the stroller in the back seat, so I'm gonna put it in the bed. Fits perfectly in the bed, of course. But if I forget my stroller, which I have done twice this week, in the bed and it rains, well, the stroller gets absolutely soaking wet. So I would definitely recommend, if you can, getting a cover for your Desert Boss bed. It'll benefit you greatly. So that's going to do it for our exterior tour for the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2. Let me hop in the interior. I'm going to talk about the ride height, the ground clearance again, and just show you what it's like to try to get into one of these huge lifted trucks. Let's do it. Look how high this truck is. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm just kidding. So it is pretty high. It comes right up to my waist about, but I mean, like, if you bend down, or if you're a small child, to give you some scale, this is a daunting task to get in here. But anyways, let me try to do it. I'm gonna show it to you on camera, because I want potential owners to understand, you know, it's high. So let's do it. So I'm going to try to do this as gracefully and without messing up the audio that I have attached to my body as I possibly can. So let me hop right up into here. You got to put your foot up here. There is a handle here, but if you weigh a lot, like, I've heard this kind of crack of it, so I don't like to do that. I like to grab the seat like this and then kind of pull myself up and then just settle into the seat here. We'll close the door. Boom. So now, I am 5'11", I am pushing, my knees are pushing into the driver's seat. This is my driver profile that I always drive with. I do have enough room for my feet underneath the seat, which is nice. I've got just about enough room to where I'm not uncomfortable. And also the good news is the seats are really comfortable too. I like the cushion, I like the leather here. It's very nice. Now, you would have noticed some similarities with the back seat here. The Canyon AT4X had very similar seats as well, except the AT4X had like a snowboard, like red, white, and black, whereas this is very rugged. It is black, gray, and green stitching, which looks really, really nice. Now let's talk about what you get back here. Well, I do have enough headroom because there is just enough of a cutout back here, which is fantastic. I do have 2 vents, as well as USB-C, USB-A, and a normal household outlet back here, which is pretty good. I like that as well. Now I do have this other thing here that's this cup holder that's gonna fold down. So in total, this truck has 6 cup holders, 2 in the front, 2 right here in front of me, and 2 right here that fold down. So you definitely can have a party in here. And then we have the smallest headrest for the center seat. There is in fact a center seat, which is nice as well. I do have my baby seat installed here. You can kind of see it slightly in the shot. It does fit very well in the Colorado. She's comfortable, no problems there. So if you do have a family, perfect. The back windows are also slightly tinted, so that's nice too. Keeps the children out of the sun, which we do like. So now with the door closed, I'm comfortably in my seat here. Again, similarities with the AT4X with the seats, but this one, I'm finding it very hard to figure out which one I like the most. I like the exterior of the ZR2 and the interior of the Canyon a little bit more, but still, this is very rugged, very easy materials to clean in here, just at a first glance. And I love the green stitching in here. Really makes it different, gives it a little bit of a personality, and the kind of camo textile material that we have in here too, it's very nice. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we do have some memory seats, 2 memory seat settings for the driver. My seat here, the driver, is power adjusted, whereas the passenger seat is going to be manual, but no problems there. So I also have these really big Camaro looking vents. They're circle, they look like jet engines. I like them a lot. I hope Chevrolet continues to do that in all their cars. They're fantastic. Let's take a look at the fully digital gauge cluster. Now, if you watched my Z71 video, you would have known that I complained that the screen was cut off. I believe they fixed that in all Z71s for 2024, but the Desert Boss has the full screen unlocked and I can see everything very well. There's also a bunch of different themes. There's the Google Map theme and stuff like that, so you can kind of go through and, you know, choose which one you want and also choose which setting you want for. Maybe if you're doing more off-roading, you can have a little off-road theme that'll show you your pitch and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. Next, we'll talk about the steering wheel. It is plenty big for the truck size. I've got media controls on the back of the steering wheel right here, as well as some infotainment controls as well here on the steering wheel. My heated steering button is right here on the steering wheel, which is fantastic. I have my adaptive cruise control buttons as well. I like the overall look of the steering wheel, and I love that it's a blacked out Chevrolet bow tie. Now next, I do have a Bose sound system in here. Of course, it is a very expensive version of the ZR2, so to have the Bose sound system is the way to go. I do really like it. I think it makes the truck fun even more fun. Next up, we'll talk about our digital infotainment display. Again, a lot of the same themes we're seeing on the 71. This one is very nice too. Built-in navigation, dual zone automatic climate control that you can control through here, but we also have physical buttons, so no problem. This is where I'll access my 360-degree camera. When I say 360-degree cameras, I mean 360-degree cameras. I can even see underneath the truck, and take it one step further, I can even wash the cameras that are underneath the truck. So if you're off-roading and you're getting your stuff dirty and you need to see if there's a huge rock underneath you, you can give it a wash and you'll be able to see again. This also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as wired for both, so we like this as well. And I like the fact that I can customize where my icons are. I can customize if I want my Apple CarPlay icon to be on the side for quick access, and I can also customize where it is on the screen itself. Very nice. We also have a bunch of different off-road screens and a vehicle status screen, which gives you a 3D render of the car, and you can actually see your tires and brakes, fluids and filters, engine, trip, G-force, everything, and it gives you a really, really clean render of it. And you can also like go into detail by pressing the plus button and stuff like that. This is a really cool feature. I'm very impressed with this. So now, some people may hate this, others may love it. The way that we control the lights on the Chevrolet Colorado is by the infotainment. You have to click a little light button up there and you can change your light settings off that. Some people have complained about it. It was the same on the Z71. Personally, it works fantastic. The infotainment has never gone off. You can also turn the infotainment on just to access this button, so no problems there. Now I'll move just a little bit lower where I have my differential locking buttons. I have the rear differential as well as both. I also have a switch for the automatic start-stop engine, which I always turn it off because it is annoying and it's very slow. But I like you have like these auxiliary switches, like they really feel good to touch. This one is my lane keep assist. I also have an auxiliary button, which when you press this down in the Desert Boss turns on your LED light bar and looks really good. And then next to my auxiliary control button, I have a button that will roll down all the windows in the car one shot, but it won't roll them back up. So just also keep that in mind. Now dropping down from that, I have a USB-C as well as a USB-A and wireless charging for the phones, standard normal looking shifter, and then we have our transfer case where I have auto, 2 high, 4 low, and this is also where I will change my drive modes. Now in terms of drive modes, I have got a couple. I've got off-road for your off-road. I've got tow and haul in case you want to tow something. Then you also have terrain if you're on like rocky mountains and stuff like that. And then we also have Baja mode, which is pretty much Chevrolet sport mode. It makes the car go fast, and it also wants to reduce my traction control, which I do not want it to do right now, so we'll turn this back to normal. And it also gives you like a little picture of the different terrain, which is very nice. It looks really, really good. Then I have just normal cup holders here, a bit of storage here. It's actually pretty deep, which is nice. Speaking about storage, I didn't mention it when I was in the back seat, but the back seat actually lifts up and you can actually get a little bit of things underneath that seat, which is fantastic. So that's gonna do it for our interior and our exterior tour for the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2. Let's take this thing on the road. I'm gonna talk to you about seat comfort, ride quality, how it drives, is it fast, do I care that it's a 4-cylinder, and everything in between. Alrighty, so here we are in the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Desert Boss. And let me tell you, when you're on the road with this kind of truck, you really do feel like the boss of the road, the boss of the desert, the boss of anything. And it's just absolutely fantastic. I have a commanding view of everything on the road. I mean, I'm so lifted. I'm higher than a lot of the cars around me, which is really, really fun. And you know, the noise is pretty good. The ride quality is also really good. My seat is pretty comfortable, actually. And, you know, I'm not feeling a lot of the bumps. Like you'd expect with the lifted suspension, sometimes you get like these oscillations through your body and through the frame, but you don't really feel that. And I think that's due in part to the DSSV Multimatic dampers that we have on here, which are performing fantastic. So this on the off-road, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to bank and bum around, but still, this is a really, really good platform. It was the same on the Canyon AT4X, same on the Chevrolet Z71. So there we go. I'm gonna put it into Baja mode now, and I'm gonna press the brakes a little bit. I could already feel it just downshifted really aggressively there. Let's give it some rips. Foot all the way to the ground, not bad. Actually, not even a bad engine sound. And look, I already know the comments. First of all, yeah, the truck is expensive. I get it, I know. But again, people are still going to buy it regardless of what that opinion is. Look, I don't think it's a bad thing that this doesn't have a V6 or a V8. I don't think it's a bad thing that this is a 4-cylinder turbocharged. I think that the torque number, 430 pound-feet of torque, is enough for what you need. That's a good number despite this thing being a 4-cylinder. And I mean, you can make the argument of any car with a 4-cylinder, 2-cylinder, whatever it is, you can make the argument that it would be better with a V6 or a V8. Of course it would sound better. Of course it would be faster. Of course maybe it would be worth its price, but honestly, I just don't see that happening much anymore. I think we're really in the era of smaller engines giving us more fuel efficiency and outputting as much power by putting a turbocharger. I think that's where we're at, and I just don't see a point in complaining about it because this truck, the numbers that it hits them well enough that I don't really care or notice. 310 horsepower is plenty. The handling here is good as well. I have good control despite having absolutely massive tires and stuff like that. I really, really feel like I could do a long road trip on this. I could tow stuff with this. This would be like ideal for like camping, you know, in the trails and stuff like that. You can bring a camper along. You can bring just like a little trailer along, like a small thing if you wanted to. You can probably even tow another vehicle with it, which is cool. And, you know, I think that there is a trade-off. Like, this is a mid-sized truck, and I mean, it is still kind of big for a mid-sized truck. They're kind of, you know, playing with that word just a little bit, but I think you have to trade off back seat space for bed space, and I think we have like a really, really good balance with the ZR2. It's really, really good. I found like the Z71 a little bit smaller, although I think they're pretty close. Same thing with the Canyon AT4X. I found that small. I found this one to be the biggest, most beefy one out there. And I mean, who doesn't want to drive a truck that looks like it's straight out of something from Hot Wheels? I picked it up immediately. I mean, and the color of this car just looks fantastic. And like, usually trucks don't bring me that much interest. I usually don't get a lot of looks or a lot of questions, but the ZR2 has brought me a lot of attention just filming B-roll and stuff like that. People want to know about this truck. They want to know what it is, and a lot of people don't even know that this exists, and that's probably in part due because if they are on dealership lots, they might be sitting there because $80,000 is a lot for a lot of people, but not for certain people. Certain people are still going to walk in there. I want the Desert Boss. I want the Bison, which is what it's called in 2024, and they're going to make it work, whether they're in crippling debt or they have enough cash flow to do it. Now, look, I'm honestly going to tell you this. I think I have no off-roading needs. None whatsoever. But if I could, and again, this is the same thing, we keep going back to the price because that, I feel like that's the only thing I can think of to complain about, because in every truck aspect that at least I look for, and I'm not really a truck person, I've just driven a couple by this point, so I feel like I have a good idea. By every standard, this meets my truck needs. Should I ever need a truck, this is exactly the one I would go with. And if I could afford $76,000, $80,000 tax in, whatever it was, I would walk into a dealership, ask for the Desert Boss in this color, and walk away with it if I could, because it's really, really solid. Like, it's got like almost, I don't know if the camera's probably not going to pick it up, but when I kind of accelerate a little bit, it's got like this diesel whistle almost. And I don't know if that's the turbo or something in the engine, but it sounds fantastic. It's just solid. I have no off-road needs whatsoever, but still, just driving this on the daily roads, just getting groceries with it and stuff, and driving it back and forth to my full-time job has been absolutely fantastic. And you know, it is pretty much springtime now. We're almost getting into summer months, and I know that this thing would be an absolute monster in the winter, because Quebec gets some pretty brutal winters most of the time. Last year was an exception, so anyways. But most of the time our winters are brutal. We get like 20 centimeters of snow for days on end, and it doesn't stop, and you don't want to leave your house. With this thing at my fingertips, at my hands, I would leave the house no matter what weather. I think it would be kind of fun to test drive this thing in the winter. So if the Bison comes up later on this year and I'm in the winter, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be putting my butt in this seat, because I'm going to test. I really want to see what the Bison's got to offer. So yeah, I think that's going to do it overall. Like I said, yes, very expensive, and I don't care that it isn't a V8 or a V6. I think the numbers that it hits and the way that they've tuned this engine is going to fit most people's needs perfectly. If you want a loud engine, get a Raptor, pay a lot more money, or get a TRX, and again, pay a lot more money. And I'm in no way saying that I agree with all these truck market prices. I don't. But the engine really doesn't make or break the deal for me. I think this engine is perfect. And yeah, if you look at a truck nowadays in a dealer, they're writing you a bill for $250, and that's just how it goes. And I don't know when it's going to end. I'm unfortunately just a car reviewer. I'm not a financial expert, so I don't know. But overall, when it comes to how good the ZR2 Desert Boss is, it's absolutely fantastic for an off-road pickup truck. It's fantastic for a daily pickup truck just in general. Looks like a Hot Wheels toy, drives like a toy in some regard too, because this thing can handle any kind of terrain. I love the safari bar. I love the light bar on top. It adds so much light at nighttime. It's absolutely a great package, and whoever does fork out the money for it is going to be very happy that they did it. And I mean, that's it, because people who have that kind of money just don't care, right? So there you go. I'm going to end it there for the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see us do more trucks. I think I have one more coming up in a few weeks. It's a little bit bigger one, but again, it is an off-road trim, because I just like them. And you know, it's fun to review stuff that you really are passionate about, because it really does come through. So let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the Chevrolet ZR2, although I already think I know what you think. And with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe to everything. We've got a crazy summer coming up. It's only going to get better from here. We're only going to go up from here. And with that being said, I will see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.